Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment on the weekend show brought to you by Hello Crunch Popcorn. Hello, Didi.
Andy,
Good to see you.
good to see you too.
What rooftop are you screaming over yesterday that you've lost your voice? Was it from the World Cup finals?
No,
Have
no,
been the
no.
AFCON finals?
No, actually, I left before it ended. I could
Did
not
you?
I could not take it. I could already see the end.
Oh no, oh no. That was an experience. Hi, Tender.
Hi, Andy.
How are you?
Fine, thank
How's your
you.
week? What's the highlight of your week?
The highlight of my week has to be the match. it just had to be the match. It was a roller coaster, you know. At the first half, we're all rejoicing, you know. I was dancing, no matter where you go. And the second half, and it was just like magic. The whole thing just changed, you know. So that was the highlight for me.
That was the highlight.
Yeah.
And Aya Adams, the man of the month. On the weekend show, Aya Adams is our man of the month. You were absolutely brilliant with your AFCON outing. You did really well. I got all the updates I could get from you, and I really enjoyed the interaction with players, which we've never seen like we've seen in this tournament. And so, well done to you.
Thank you.
And a lot of our conversation today is around the AFCON tournament and then cyberbullying. To Nigerians out there, did you know that cyberbullying is a crime, and you could get locked up for up to 2 years for cyberbullying? Now, the reason why this conversation is important is that as a generation where we're very critical about mental health, we're also the biggest bullies. And it's unacceptable. We can't continue to castigate other people for other things and politicians and the likes when we are quick to complain when things affect us, but we're the biggest perpetrators of some of these crimes. And this is the reason why you hear government officials constantly trying to regulate social media. I don't support it, but the cyberbullying has to stop. And that's what we'll be talking about on today's lifestyle segment. After the AFCON tournament, which was brilliant, and we had so much fun. And I say this because Aya and I had a conversation before the tournament, and I was saying all we needed to do was get through the first round, and we didn't want to have our usual 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 draw. We got to the point where we reached number 2, and the backlash was, Ayo, let's hear from you. You were over there, you're on the field, you're on the
Yeah.
pitch, and you've seen what's going on online.
So, first of all, bonjour, bonjour.
He's French now.
So, if you were on ground, you would know that I've been to stadiums. I've never felt the way I felt in that finals. My hands were shaking. We looked at each other and said, wow. So before the finals, we had pre-match analysis, we had pre-match thoughts, and we Nigerians, we sat there one day and asked ourselves, can we survive this? Because we already knew. I think a number of my friends had been telling them that I don't want us to get to the finals with the host country. It's going to be a mess. Because while covering the AFCON, the coverage of the AFCON wasn't just relative to Nigeria alone. Nigeria was just the icing on the cake to make it more relative. I covered a number of matches, you know, Cape Verde, Egypt, Ghana, Mozambique. We went to, well, I was at the game. I was outside till 1 day till 3 a.m. when the host country made it to the next round. And we just couldn't bear to go home. They were on the streets running till 3 a.m. Running. Mothers, fathers, kids. I used to think Nigeria was a nation that loved football in comparison with Brazil, but I saw something totally different in terms of how they expressed themselves. So that brought me to how we felt at the final. Leading up to the final, we just knew the tension was high. And then there's this, aside everything, despite the brilliant out and spectacle at AFCON, there's still this African mentality of trying to hoard tickets. So there was a final press conference with the president of CAF, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, and it was brought up. So we had our first ever press conference was with him, and the final was with him just to wrap up and feedback and remarks. And someone brought up the case about the tickets. And the day they launched the tickets space, people couldn't get tickets because I had friends who traveled from UK, Paris, who wanted to buy, let me get tickets. And we're trying to log in. It was giving you like a 30 minutes, waiting time, but you never still got. Up to we found out that, these tickets were being hoarded. And tickets were supposed to be sold for like 5,000 CFA, which is like 10,000 in Nigerian money, was now being sold for like 40,000. Wow. So category 3, there's category 1, 2, 3. Category 1 is supposed to be sold for 20,000, was now being sold for 80,000 in CFA. That's like 160,000 in Nigerian money. My friends paid a total of 320,000 CFA for a category 1 ticket, but they still got category 3. Oh, no. And then you still found out that in the stadium, there was a total attendance of over 57,000 fans. And they were still basically, it's like when you dye your hair black, then you dye hair gray. That's how Nigerians were in the stadium. They were very
I
tiny.
didn't even see the grey.
Even the supporters club were just put in one corner, isolated, intimidated. Even while where I was sat, I was shaking. I mean, like, we journalists were just looking like, what can you do? So first of all, you have to look at that in entirety as to how if we fans who are just sat watching feel like this, and people, you guys that are watching from home felt like the way you felt, how would the players who are there under the immense pressure, how would they feel? So for me, that compounded it. Yes, in terms of performances, that was not their best performance in the tournament because they were both fairy tale teams.
Yeah.
Ivory Coast should not have made it this far. They know. So there's a song that they sing after they win. They said, "Ole Kalise, Ivorian, we are nothing but we qualified." So that belief, for me, I thought it was that belief that got them through. They kept scoring late goals, and then they got to. With a coach who just came in as an interim, was an assistant, and now he has become a national hero. So the storyline is surreal. And then you look at the Nigerian side, and nobody gave a chance. Everybody thought, people booked their flights. People had not booked their flight down for return. People were just waiting, lose so we can pack up our bags and go home. Before we played Ivory Coast, we were at the presser, and people were saying, I beg, we probably are going home tomorrow. And then, they turned the story around. And that was where their journey began against Ivory Coast, the same Ivory Coast. Beat Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast now lost ridiculously to Equatorial Guinea in the 4-0 win. And the host fans just went crazy. Something that a lot of us don't want to say out loud, which I'm going to say is, we said to ourselves that if we win, we will not be safe in our country. Not in terms of...
I feared that
we had told ourselves that we'll probably stay in the stadium till the following day and just sleep in the stadium. Because if we had... you needed to see the areas, and then they were bought, so there's this thing that FIFA and CAF does. You give a certain percentage to the other. If you go and play an away game, all I knew that Nigerians complained that their seats were hijacked, and then you couldn't argue. So moving in, we got to the finals, game started, and everything was there. But in terms of the boys, I think they gave everything that they've got.
I think they did, and we'll come back to that. Didi, who months ago didn't care so much about football. She likes when Nigeria is playing, but she went out to watch and support. And so I've been following all of you and what you've been doing. What did it feel like watching with a crowd of Nigerians and the reaction when we had gaps?
Silence. That's the only word I can use to describe it. Because when we won initially, there was just so much hope and excitement. Okay, we're like, we need to score a second goal. And then their own goal came in, and it was just pure silence. We're just hoping. We kept hoping, looking at the time. No, we have time, we can do this. And eventually, their second goal came in, and that's when we're like, okay. I saw people, I was like, I'm going to leave. And as I was standing up, 70% were also standing up with me.
I have a confession. Once that second goal came in, I turned off my TV. Also because it was late. But something which worried me, and you mentioned, was I saw the crowds, the fans in the stadium. As Nigerians, we forget that other people want good things as well. Same way we needed this win as a nation because this united us. There was no mention of tribe or religion in the last 1 month. This united us. But we forgot that the other African countries also needed this. And see the audience in that stadium. I was like, imagine if Nigeria should win. How safe is it for us? And Tenda, you are also, besides Aisha, you are also our entertainment and social media expert here. We saw people attack our players. There was this guy who, in the last AFCON, his name is Maduka Okoye. And when people started like, see fine man, and at some point it was his beauty that was the conversation, and then he conceded 1 goal. They insulted him and sent death threats to him. And he said he's not playing for the national team anymore. And he didn't. Same thing happens to Iwobi. What crossed your mind when you saw how Iwobi was being attacked?
Transferred aggression. It was just transferred aggression. I think we were just sore losers, and we were looking for who to make the scapegoats, because we just all had this hope, Nigerians, and it was like a Nigeria versus Africa match, because we have bragged so much, we've made so much money, we've dragged all the losers, we dragged Ghana to hell and back, and then we were just waiting for this last one, the feeling where I watched the match when they scored the second goal, because when they scored the first goal, I'm talking about Ivory Coast now, people were looking forward to penalties then. When they scored the second goal, it was like, you know, when you're waiting in front of a labor room to be told the sex of the
Yeah.
baby, and then you're told that the child died. You know, it was quiet, everybody was solemn, everybody was stiff. You know, we didn't see it coming, we never expected it. But Ivory Coast, they played a good game. They played a very good game. The player, Sebastian Haller, the one
Yeah.
that beat cancer, like a fairy tale, like you said,
Yeah.
you know, he scored the winning goal for the semifinals. He
Yeah.
scored the winning goal for the final. So it was great for them. And their coach, too, Faye, big ups to him. He did a very good job.
3 players from the Cote d'Ivoire side, the Ivory Coast side, that upset me so much. The young boy who was the man of the match.
Adingra.
Because he's so good.
So good.
Yeah.
Hara, who scored that
Yeah.
goal because it was a fairy tale
Yeah,
which
yeah.
they needed, and the guy who scored the first goal because
Kessie,
he
from
was
Kessie.
so
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
They played the better game.
Yeah, they
They
played
did,
better.
they did.
If we're
More
being
shots on
Very,
honest.
very
target,
honest, yeah.
They were so good that I was upset.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but seeing the reaction and what they've had to go through, I saw when they came back to Nigeria at the airport, media tried talking to senior man, was it Osimhen?
Osimhen.
And he
And ducked,
refused. Alex Iwobi. How do you think this affects the players' mentality going forward, Ayo?
So first thing you need to know, and I said to a lot of people, because when people start to talk to me, a lot of people reach out to me, or whenever they see us at media parleys or trainings, talk to this guy, talk to that guy. You know, they're human beings like us trying to pursue our dreams. I was there to pursue a dream. They are there to pursue a dream, you know, and we are here as a nation to pursue a dream too. They're also human beings. As light-hearted as some people are, so are they. You know, as strong mentally as some people are, so, same as them. So it weighs differently. And when you look at Iwobi, he was also subjected to attack alongside Maduka Okoye in the last AFCON. He was the one who got a red card. He came in as a sub. He was trying to be aggressive, got sent off, and the same thing happened to him. While at one of the media parties, I kind of asked him, I said, how do you deal with you always been measured with JJ Okocha? And he was like, since he's been born and planning to play football, it's been the biggest play.
Have JJ Okocha
At
over
par with
you.
honor too, because it's an honor for him to represent the country.
Yeah.
But also at par with sense of they are always trying to criticize him. And I told him that, he told me that, you know, he's glad to be here, that it's a blessing, but people won't stop criticizing him. But there's a level it gets to. And that's what brings me to the fact that you saw the player in unison, they stood by him.
Yes.
And this cyberbullying and reactions, it basically comes from something fun that now gets aggressive, which is the term dragging. You start to drag, and then it becomes something much more amplified when some people... And I had a friend of mine who we were together when that happened. We had to just get our cameras together, and we shot like a small clip. And what a lot of them alluded to is betting. Some people, because they have placed the
Lost
bet,
money, yeah.
and they've lost money, it's anger to them. That's because of this person. So they're trying to single out one person. In the semifinals, one of them wanted to come and miss that chance. I looked at my friend, fellow journalist, and I said, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Then when we got to penalties, then we had a chance. Then Olayino missed the penalty. And I said, Olayino is going to be in. And by that time, we could always, I checked Twitter, and you can always see that they were trending. And when we won, Olayino in the dressing room, he made a video and said, you guys saved
Yeah.
me.
That means
Because
even
they
because-
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know what
what's
they
at
have to
stake,
face
yeah.
from Nigerians. I also spoke with Kenneth Omeru, one of the longest veterans in the national team. And he says the same thing, that Nigerians aren't forgiving people.
Yeah.
That they take these things to heart and they react and they are vile. And just like you mentioned, it's the bulk of the young people, and we need to do better. You know, we are the ones who complain that we don't want to be oppressed, we don't want to be this, we don't want to be cheated. But the slightest chance we get to nudge on people, and then there's this mantra of they get paid. You get paid. People have bad days in the office. Or most of us here have bad days in the office. Some of those people have bad days at home. Sometimes people have bad months. Some people just have bad 90 minutes, and you want to kill them for it. So, and that affects us as journalists too, because
I mean, we
there's-
get attacked for
yeah.
having conversations like
Yes.
this here.
So as journalists,
That's right.
me, like I remember there was a time I did something online. I have a thick skin. I don't care. I said to myself that it's bold of you to think I'd give you an open ears for a response, so you can keep shouting wherever you are. But not everybody has a skin to tolerate that. You know, you ask, see players, the ones who came from UK, the ones who are foreign born. There's that detachment somehow that people don't think that they're willing to represent as much. So it's very, very sad to see that at this stage we're still here. But the players, I was very happy when I saw Captain Ahmed Musa's first message out, And then in unison, everybody just threw support behind him. The Minister of Sports, when he came, had them sit down with him. It's been supported.
I'm glad that happened. I saw when Ahmed Musa put out his tweet saying, what you guys are doing to Obi, you shouldn't, and it's unfair. Someone went and said, no, but you go tell us what we go do. And someone went as far as saying, even Ronaldo and Messi get dragged and criticized. So who are these people? And so it's the insensitivity. And it brings me to another part of this conversation, because I've been a victim of cyberbullying, but I didn't care. I used to be active on Twitter, and this is my opinion. When Big Brother is something that led to this toxicity on social media. When everybody had full access to it, it became an issue. And I remember having a comment about some young man on the show once, and someone sent the post to his sister, and she said something in her local dialect, and I had like hundreds of people insulting me. And all I just had was an observation, not insulting him. And I just chilled. Now, COVID happened, and I'm now at a point where I'm like, I don't like how toxic social media is. So I observe, and then I say, a year later, someone came, looks for me on Twitter, now X, and said, where is this one that even insulted this boy? This Big Brother person is now a host on Super Sports. This one, we cannot even say, maybe COVID even killed him.
Wow.
Like, this is me. It's not someone happening. And I was looking at it on my phone, and I was like, thank God I don't care about this. But imagine someone come back a year later to continue an attack. It brings me back to the last 10 days. A young girl called Vicky James got married. We're happy for her. I think some bits of it was a bit extra. But the amount of cyberbullying which she has also now become a victim of. The reason why Alex Iwobi is a soft target is because people have access to his personal life. If you follow him on Snapchat, he shows when he's eating eba, when he loves Nigeria. And so he gives people that access. Nobody knows what's happening in Osimhen's life or Lukman's life or Truth Ecom. So they don't have that access. And so people say celebrities are stuck up and all whatnot. But the ones who give you access, that's why they could do that to Iwobi. And so I've seen people now bring out videos, old videos of Vicky James to target her. So people post something and say, see this one, without saying anything. But what they are doing, they are putting you for people to attack.
And then
and then when people start attacking, it's like, I didn't say anything, I just put something with no context.
Like, what was your point of putting that?
How did you see what had happened around? And it's not necessarily around her, but I'm just using her as an example of cyberbullying.
I just find it very insensitive. It's unnecessary, because when I see things like that, I'm like, okay, so what's the point? What are you gaining from this? This country is so hard. Like, we should have how to make money at the back of our mind to eat, not
egg is now 300 naira.
Exactly.
One egg.
A bag of beans is now 120k. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And people are focusing on bullying people online. To what aim? People that have their 3 square meals is who you are going to bully. It doesn't make sense.
That's why I said it's like
It really
transferred
doesn't make
aggression.
sense.
And I think
It's
that
kind
makes
of
sense.
like a coping mechanism for some people. Like it makes you
But
feel better. Like,
it shouldn't be,
Yes,
because you're hurting someone
Yes, it
else.
shouldn't.
We've had lots of people come on this show to speak on, mental health and mental illness and, the effects and all of that. And they've said it's similar to the normal physical illnesses that we see. So you are putting, quote unquote, a cancer in someone's brain through your cyberbullying, just because you're not the doctor doesn't do a scan on your brain and see that, oh, it's cancer. You're affecting the person's, mental state, and it's quite unfortunate. It shouldn't happen. And the law against cyberbullying, there hasn't been a lot of examples, which is why people still go ahead to do it. I can just carry my phone and, look for somebody of note and say something to them, and I'm like, I don't know, the person is in their house weeping over something I just said. If the police comes to me now and they arrest me because of that statement, they do it again next week to someone else, they continue doing it, everybody will take note.
It's funny when government is constantly trying to regulate social media. The Cybercrime Prevention and Prohibition Bill of 2015 has all of this covered. It's even so bad that if your post causes me frustration or anxiety, I can report you, and you could get locked up. And in psychology, there's something called the looking glass self. If you have a child and say, you're very beautiful, this child grows up thinking, they're beautiful. Yeah. If you grow up and they say, Olodo, 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 it's as simple as you going for a party and you dance and someone say you can't dance. Yeah, you would never want to dance again. You understand? So I'll let Tenda conclude because you were saying something
Yeah.
about the transfer
Yeah, the
of
transfer
aggression.
of aggression. Coming to the Vicky James story, I mean, I like to look at the silver lining, the bright side of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a designer. She designs for celebrities, Davido, and all the rest. And she needed that publicity. There's no bad publicity at the end of the day, you know. She has made her mark on the internet, broke the internet, quote unquote. And anytime you attract attention to yourself, there's always negative and positive attention, right? There are a lot of people that are not happy with their own lives. How do you expect them to be happy with you, right? As much as we shouldn't condone cyberbullying, I think the law enforcement, most times they wait till the victim makes a move or comes to like officially report before they actually take action, right? There was a case of Eniola Badmos, I think sometime last year, that had to take the law enforcement to the house to arrest a lady that was like defamizing her and all that. So at the end of the day, as Nigerians, I think we need to do a check on ourselves. Even I myself at some point, I might have said, maybe out of my own opinion, something that might have been detrimental to someone else's, you know, image or business. So we need to also check ourselves before you post, before you type, before you click send. Think about how would this make me feel if someone said it about me. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's my
I want
two
to
cents.
thank you, Tenda, for accountability. No one should say women don't take accountability. She just took accountability. Most times we do this because we don't know how it affects people. We all have a role to play. However, talking about silver lining, sometimes we also set ourselves up for dragging because we put too much out there. And what people don't know, they can't use against. And so we need to be
Exactly.
careful about what we put out and how much we put out if we know we can't deal with it, because we can't dictate how strangers react. And so I don't support all of this, but we also need to be careful with this thing called social media and how much we put out there. That's much we can take on this segment of the lifestyle segment on the weekend show. Ayo Adams will be back later to tell us more about the AFCON tournament, and we do have a whole lot more for you on the weekend show. Don't go away. See you after this break. And thanks, guys. That was a great conversation.